spent, but but then again, maybe also society is less educated than here. Brazil is also here. You can transfer money and you don't have to So you're very young with your product, 10 months. But this, if it works, clearly then it works. It's a kind of product that is also very easy to replicate in other countries. Context. If you already started thinking about this. If it does take a year, or whatever, right? Even if it takes a month for the Popo to be fixed, is there this feedback loop that Popo is fixed because they take a photo? It's not like they take a photo. Well, actually, you people who photos, and then you can award points for this, and then people can score, can get to the top of the leaderboard by taking lots.
Proud of speaking about this in this state of Telangana. And that's the thing, Dorothy, that if you come to a state like Telangana, you are in a upper middle off than Ghana is. That's not true of the rest of the country. The rest of the country in UP and Bihar, and I don't want to say anything, but we are worse off than Nepal, right? So we are a land of amazing contrasts. We are in a city that has a V-Hub, that has absolutely successful women entrepreneurs, that gives to the world the technologies and the technological capital that Dorothy talked about. But go 200 miles away and you will have a state where 70% of the population will have illiterate women who have never gone to school, whose life expectancy is 10 years lesser than their male counterparts because they never have access to a prenatal or antenatal care, who have never seen a cell phone. And that's why, Osama, if we want to, if India aims to leapfrog from a $2,000 per capita income that Ghana has, or a 9,000 that Argentina does, we cannot do that without having 50% of our population riding along. How can you ever reach that? If half the population has no agency to earn money, if half the population has no agency to spend the money that it earns, how are we going to get to a consumer base of 1,200 million people? We will continue to have 150 million people who are digitally literate, who use fancy apps, who are there on every platform that you can think of, and 150 million is a lot of people. But what about 1,200 million people? Unless you include those, and that's what I think is the grand design and the ambition behind the WSA's discussion on digital democracy and us. It is our responsibility here, and your responsibility, the 200 of you, to ensure that there is enough incentive and enough pressure that is exercised on us. And I talk about us as being part of the state, part of the government of this state and this country, to ensure that we do not exclude those millions of people who are the bulwark and the foundation of a growing economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Osama. I don't deserve much of what you pour and praise over me, because I want to go back to the person whom I not pronounce right. Ambedkar. And you know, what is interesting about him is that he analyzed social structure and economic structure the way we have to analyze patriarchy. If you go to university, the women perform much better than the men. And if you go into professional lives and you look at the lawyers, the accountants, the doctors, the caretakers, everybody, you can see the women perform better than the men. And then you come and you look at, all of a sudden, when it comes to the power and the power holders, the gender balance switches. And this is what I think is so interesting about the Indian Constitution. It stipulates equality, justice, and also very much the respect for the individual citizen. And since the 1940s and 1950s, if you look at today, what you said, Amir, about the discrepancies in India, what Osama was saying about the difference between the rural and the city, between the green and the red markets, and so on. We need to see that the social structures need to be considered as something which we target.
I think that we are at a pivotal moment when it comes to technology and development. There are many people around the globe who are using, for example, products by Meta without thinking about the fact that they have rolled back their trust and safety, and that this has huge implications for the minds of young people and how they are exposed. A lot of my work at the moment is focused on child online safety. And if we don't wake up and stop thinking that, yes, technology is neutral, it does not matter who owns it, it does not matter what kind of rules we put in place to manage it, then we are not going to have a too healthy digital future. It will continue to be very one-sided and in control by just a monopolistic, oligarchic type of control. Whereas WSA gives us a lot of hope because it's a celebration of local innovation ecosystems. And if we are going to have a strong development with digital at the heart of it, we need to develop those national innovation systems. We do not need to continue in the path of technology dependency. We have to have our autonomy. And so we need to wake up to technological imperialism and get back our freedom and use open source.
Thank you. Cheers.
So I would say this is only an opportunity for all of us to move forward, right? So there is, in history, we've never gone back. We probably look back and understood the lessons and whatever, if we were intelligent enough, and we can only move forward. And I would agree with what Dorothy said. We should only move forward responsibly. I think as a generation, this is at that crux where one or too many wrong decisions that we take is going to make it a lot more worse for what is going to follow. So I guess for digital development, if there was one word that we have to pick up, I would go with responsibility. We should do it a lot more responsibly. It doesn't mean we'll have to hold back and not leverage all the tools that are at our disposal. We should embrace them, but absolutely in a very knowingly manner and extremely responsible manner. And hopefully there is no limit to what we can as a human race achieve. Thank you.
Sama, this is really the question, the big question that we need to answer. And here the good news is that if you look at India's development, India's growth in the recent past, the largest and the most significant growth we have seen is in its innovation index. So we've leapfrogged on the global innovation index and now are at some 39 from somewhere where we used to be at 100. But note that this innovation has been powered by the digital ecosystem. That is why digital is so important. First, that it spurs innovation. All these people you see out there are those innovators who have used the digital footprint and the digital infrastructure. Unfortunately, big corporate India, zero. You don't see any innovation coming in from the big technology. You see that coming here, and that's the future. The second point where digital and development matters is that it is the digital that universalizes education, access to healthcare, and access to jobs, which is what is holding the country back. The third is that one of the fundamental needs that we have as far as development is concerned is to reduce the inequality that exists in the country. It is the most unequal country in the world right now and becoming unequal faster than any other country. And the only way in which this inequality can be brought back, apart from taxation that Peter talked about and I thought was a very significant point, the other way is by universalizing knowledge, access to information. That information asymmetry that exists in a traditional caste-driven society like India can only be eliminated by increasing use of the digital. Thank you.
Peter, your sentence.
First, I have to correct myself because the WSA executive manager will get after me and say WSA team is not 100% women, it is 70% women. So I just want to make sure that I'm factually correct and I'm not falling into the trap of storytelling like Osama, and then he's corrected by Dorothy Gordon and I will be corrected by other people. So 70%. There are three things, I think, which come to my mind. First of all is, let us all get to understand that we cannot just go on with technology and internet the way we have. Okay? There is a key term which is called reset. Let's think about what reset means. At the University of Toronto, there's a citizen lab, and they understand themselves as doing counterintelligence for civil society, taking charge of the internet. And I think it's a really interesting thing, in which way one can network around the world. And Digital Empowerment Foundation is much too soft on some of the technology issues, because we need to make sure that we understand that the technology itself needs to be, and that's the second part, we need to have a design from the margins. I want you to taste the term design from the margin, that you are using your capability and your ability to design technology not from the sucking center of central capitalism, but that you are looking at it from the margins of the needs of the population and the people and the communities in which you live. And the third thing is, India is today in a much, much better position than it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, because you have started so much in terms of ownership of skills, of competences, that you are now at the brink of really being actually not just exporting your top leaders to the Silicon Valley, but you might be importing them back. Bring them back. Make sure that they are the people, not they themselves, but the people here in Telangana State, in Hyderabad, in Bangalore. They know that you don't have to go to Silicon Valley to do a meaningful, good-paying job, but you can do it here. And you do it here because you serve your people. And that is what India has as a prospect for the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you very much. And since I have a last mic, I would also like to just say future of digital from that I understand.